The farmer was replaced. This game is literally about programming. So basically, the game kind of introduces you to, well, to the various ideas and concept of how these things work. The first program we can use is basically just we are allowed to write code over here. If you know Python, then apparently that is very similar or even the same. I've never actually programmed in Python, but I do have, well, originally at least, that's literally a decade or longer ago, some experience in programming. So we basically are given two ideas as to what we can do. We can do a flip, and then we can execute this little program. This is our little robot friend here that is gonna do a flip. Hurrah! And it of course just does that once because we just do a flip. Alternatively, what we also can do is harvest. That is another thing the game tells us that, hey, this is a function you can call, and we basically tell the little guy to harvest. So every time I want to harvest one of these things, this guy gets a bunch of wheat, which is counted in, or hay in the top left. And well, it's gonna take a while if we do this, isn't it? There are loops in this game, and I believe the game is gonna introduce those to us as soon as we reach a certain amount of hay. But if you don't know how to program, this game is, I would say, it's probably fine to play if you don't know anything about programming but are interested in learning. If you have some basics, it seems to be working, you know, quite expected. Let's put it this way. So what we can also do is we have up here, we can add additional programs if we want to. I actually don't know how additional programs interact with our main idea here. Can also copy paste. So if we want this guy to harvest multiple times, you can also just do that. Of course, there's also loops. Loops are available, I believe, from the get-go, unless we have to unlock them. Ah, we have to unlock them. So we pay 5 hay in order to unlock loops. And this is actually kind of neat to introduce you to the concept of programming as to what you can do and how you can apply these concepts in a very visually pleasant way. It is still, however, also a game, so I actually don't really know how much further this is going to go. But we can now say, while true, this is case sensitive, by the way, you have to capitalize the T and only the T for this, apparently. And then I think a double colon? What do you call this thing? I forget. In English anyways. And then we can just tell it to harvest. Now, it will also specifically mention that having a while true condition that has no breakpoint or anything like that is usually a bad idea. However, in this case, because there's always going to be a certain amount of waiting period after our robot does do the harvest, it's fine. Like here in this specific environment, while true, you can do this without having to force shut down the program afterwards, but it basically kind of introduces these concepts to you. And of course, we can also do a flip. Do a flip. While true, do a flip. Just because why the heck not? I kind of appreciate this. Anyways, let's actually have this little guy harvest for a while longer. You can also press tab in order to autocomplete the selection that is popping up there. Basically, it kind of works like most of the editors you might be used to. Then we have other things we can unlock. Speed. Increase the speed of the drone. Costs us 20 hay. Okay. Now we have a speed upgrade, but it will also immediately introduce us to the concept that our drone now is trying to harvest too quickly, and it actually doesn't produce any hay for us anymore. So it also introduces the concept of, hey, instead of just harvesting all the time, we check whether we can harvest, which is a function that returns a Boolean value. If you don't know what a Boolean is basically just literally, it's either true or it is false. Kind of like instead of while, wait, no, I did this wrong. Excuse me. Basically, it will just return either true or false. If we can harvest, it will return true below our little drone. And if we can't, well, we can't. So what we're going to do is we can make an if statement. If can harvest Then we harvest. I don't know if we need to do these indentations manually or what. Oh, right. We also have to put double colon after this. Again, I'm not used to programming in Python, so I'm going to make some syntax errors, but the game is pretty good at letting you know what you're supposed to do in these situations. So basically now our little robot is going to just harvest only specifically while there is something harvestable instead of just cutting down the stuff below it. So our next unlock, I believe, is expand. This allows us to expand to more plots. And again, this is, I think, where the game starts becoming more of a game rather than just a programming tutorial. So what we can do is we can have a new command for this little drone to move. So we can have it move north. Presumably also south, east, and west, but only north is really relevant. So what I want to do here is I want to have this guy harvest, move north, and harvest. So while... True. So basically in our little loop, we are not going to make a move in here. Actually, probably want to do the move north at the end of it, because then we check whether we can harvest. Oh, that's interesting. Basically, I want to move north regardless of if the if statement is true or not. I actually don't know how Python does this. Is this now going to be part of the if statement or not? No, the move north always happens as well. I don't know how Python specifically does that in order to check the syntax. But basically now what we're going to do is our robot checks whether he can harvest. If he can harvest, he does so, and then he just moves north one tile. Actually, apparently we are harvesting every single time right now anyways. And that is going to be basically more plots for us. Let's see what else we can unlock. We could... Oh, I think we get these upgrades anyways. I never clicked on this, did I? It costs 300 to unlock. Or maybe I can't unlock it. I don't know why it has the same color as the stuff we have unlocked. Anyways, plant unlocks planting. So, now the game is going to introduce us the idea of planting other entities. In this case, planting a bush. So I'm just going to Control X this entire thing, basically. That way I can just paste it back again. So Control X allows you to just cut out all the text you have, and that makes it pretty easy to just use it again later. What we also could do, of course, I could just, if I want to briefly have this over here, we can also put this over here. So we have multiple functions, I guess. And we can also run these other functions as well. Literally didn't know that until just now when I realized it. So plant entities dot bush. So we have two entities that we currently can plant. Basically, this is kind of calling a superstructure of various entities that are defined by, in this case, the game, or in programming, it would generally be your libraries, I guess. And it has two options for us to select entities, and the game helpfully just kind of indicates which ones these are, bush or grass. So we're gonna plant the bush, just let it run once, see what happens. It actually just immediately replaces the wheat or hay or grass below us until this stuff is harvestable, I guess. So, basically, I think what I want to do is the following. We're going to check if we can harvest. If we can harvest, we do harvest, and then I at the same time want to plant after harvesting a bush again, assuming that is kind of what I want to harvest, and then we move north. Let me just make a little space here and see how that's going to work. So now our drone is going to continuously move north until it finds something to harvest, and then plants immediately again after it is done harvesting. We can also see the grass is trying to grow in the meantime, because I guess just by default, if you never plant anything, the grass is just going to grow. So now we are collecting wood, and we can unlock more things. So we could unlock carrots, till the soil and plant carrots. We could use debugging tools. We also need 100 wood for those. This is also 100 wood. And arithmetic comparison logic operators. all of these are going to cost quite a bit, so I guess we'll have to wait a little bit. So I'm going to... I guess figure out what we can do next. I'm sure we could optimize this program here, but basically the guy searching until something is harvestable is, in my opinion, perfectly suitable. We might not be losing a whole lot of efficiency, but considering that this guy moves on rather than just going to the one we planted first or most recent, it probably loses a bit of efficiency. What we could do instead is we could make a loop to see if it can harvest. If it can't harvest, then we would just wait. And if we can harvest, we basically harvest, plant, and then move north. This actually might be slightly more efficient if I think now that I think about it. So let's actually move this up into the if statement and only move north if we can harvest. Because this way, we are guaranteed to harvest this as soon as it is possible to harvest it once we basically set up the system. So I guess that's slightly more efficient now. And, well, I suppose for the most part you kind of can see how this game is set up. I'm actually not entirely sure what other things there will be for what it's worth. Like, is this the only skill tree? If so, I imagine you might unlock this one reasonably quickly. But for a small game, this might be sufficient. I do not know if there's more than this. I suppose in a sense, considering there's dinosaurs, cactus, mazes, polyculture, it's reasonably possible that there could be like more efficient things. Plus, what I will say is that the game also tells you that there is a reason to plant both grass or other things for that matter at the same time. I don't actually know how that works. Let me actually see if I can find... information on this. Built-ins can harvest, move plant, grasslands and soil, wood and hay. I think once we get the carrots, the game would introduce us to the concept of planting different things in order to improve the yield for what it's worth. First program, external editor, loading backups, patch notes, credits. Maybe on the planting. This is literally the one I just have. Call clear to reset the farm to all grass and reset the drone position. I mean, I guess we could do this at the very beginning if we wanted to start from a clean slate. So the clear command is also potentially useful, depending on what you're looking for. Speed, can harvest. That is the previous idea that we had. Anyway, I think we have enough wood in order to unlock stuff. Maybe we want to unlock debugging. So we have debug functions to temporarily slow down the execution and make the grid smaller. Okay. Oh, these cost a lot to unlock though. Let's unlock carrots first. Before you can plant carrots, you need, with the plant entity's carrot, you have to till the soil. This will change the ground to soil. To till the soil, simply call till. Calling till again will change the background to grasslands. Planting carrots costs wood and hay. These items will be automatically removed when calling plant entity's carrot. So what I could actually do if I wanted to... You can see the cost of any plant on its own page. Okay, specifically carrots. So I think what I want to do, let's just do a very hacky solution to having one field be hay, one field be wood, and one field be carrots. So this while true is fine, I would say. How would I want to do this actually now I think about it? Because my objective would be to specifically have like one field where is hay, and then we move north, and then we go for the next one. But how can I check for these? Operators. Arithmetic comparison, logic operators. I would need a bunch more hay for that. Let me actually let this one run for a while. Actually, I think increase the yield of grass to 300. Like, this doesn't feel like I unlocked this one because it would be 200%, so that's 2 at a time, right? Maybe I want to get that first. Oh, we can upgrade these. I'm a dingus, I didn't realize that. We can also upgrade the plant. We now have expanded the plot. No wonder this was just kind of feeling like I was getting dragged along. I'm just a huge dingus. Your farm has expanded again. Now the tiles are no longer in a nice row, so you need to find a way to traverse the square grid. With the while loop, this is not possible until you unlock some sensors and operators. So it is time for the for loop. You can read all about the for loop in the for loop page, but for now we only need to repeat the code fixed number of times. Do n flips. Okay, before I do that, let me actually upgrade the grass. I just now realized this is basically a stacking upgrade that just continuously goes higher and higher. People were probably yelling at me that kind of noticed that, and because I'm not streaming, well, the yelling is just going to go on deaf ears. Then again, I'm terrible at reading chat anyways. Whatever. Let's see. We can actually just copy this, I would say. There's also comments in programming, in case you're familiar with that. Basically, if there is a hashtag, I think you call that hashtag nowadays, in front, basically this just kind of means that you can put any information there. For I in range 5. What does that even, what does range mean? Range n creates a range of numbers from 0 to n minus 1, which has n elements in it. The for loop runs its loop body once for every element in the sequence. In this example, the flip will be called 5 times. Okay, I was not familiar with this concept, with the range that is. I don't know if that's a Python thing in general, but not usually how I think of for loops, but at the same time, my programming understanding is rather basic. The function getWorldSize is also available now. It returns the side length of your farm. This way you can write code that won't break with the next expand upgrades. That makes sense, I suppose. This example harvests 1 column of the farm for any farm size. If you're stuck on trying to figure out how to move the drone around the farm, see the hint below. They even have hints, that's very nice. For I get range. Okay, basically this tells us just to do this, I suppose, where we harvest once for each world size, and this is just kind of literally running the entire program once. We presumably want to put this into a while loop, so it just kind of continues doing that. I don't know if we need to do the indentations, but I just do this anyways, because that just feels correct. Then this basically just harvests once everything. And then what I would like to do is carrots. Actually, no. What I need to do first is, in between, we move east. I think capital E, it seems. Do I need to put a... I think I need to put a double point after this. Do I? No. Maybe I do. We'll see whether the game is going to complain about it. Basically, I want to harvest all the grass, move east, and then I would like to plant... yeah, we need to check if it is harvestable first. So let me actually just delete this. If can harvest. If can harvest, harvest, and then I would like to plant entities dot push. That way we plant the stuff. And then we move north. Actually, I think I want to potentially move north regardless, so I think we want to do this. Is this still going to be connected to the 4? I usually, basically, I'm used to PHP, which, you know, it's a programming language, okay? I know. But usually I just kind of would have everything be in the brackets, and then I would specifically know which ones are belonging to which one. But in this case, I'm just not sure how this is gonna work. Anyways, move east. For the next one too, and then we're gonna do the same thing here. If you can harvest and you harvest, then I want to till the soil. Was it till? Yes, just till. Harvest, till, then we plant the entities carrot, and then we move north. Which I think might work. Let's see. Error. Till has never been... Oh, 2 L's, Jäger. I think I'm making a fool of myself, don't I? Because I didn't move... Alrighty. So the funny part here is I forgot to move east at the end. So I probably should do that too at the very end here. Because otherwise we're just going to... Yeah, land here. This is also where I guess the clear command comes in handy, because we can just clear the entire field. And effectively start the entire thing just kind of from the beginning again. And this way we're gonna get carrots, we're gonna get wood, and we're gonna get plants. So, I imagine this game is gonna get a bit more complicated than this. But if you're interested, this is a game called... My goodness, brain. The Farmer Was Replaced. I love the name. I also love that the little drone has a farmer hat as well. And, well, if you want to maybe get into programming or refreshing programming, you can almost certainly do better than me, because I think I made a mistake somewhere, huh? Anyways, thank you so much for watching, everybody. Thank you so much for listening and for lurking. I hope you enjoyed your stay. I hope you enjoyed being around, and maybe until next time, I might play around with this a bit more. It's quite enjoyable.